Welcome to No Gentle Trophy. My name is Brian Griffin. I'm going to give some information that hopefully will help some people who think that they can just pack up and move from the U.S. to Canada quickly and easily and inexpensively. I know that there are a lot of us who are looking to move to Canada, and I thought my situation might be helpful. I'm dual citizen. I was born in Canada, lived there for the first 38 years, been down in the States. I had always intended to retire back to Canada, so this is not a sudden decision. It is, however, moving faster, or trying to move faster, because of the mess the United States is currently in. So I'm going to read my notes because my memory ain't great. Regular readers and visitors to my various social media accounts know that my husband and I are working to move to Canada. Not just a reaction to current news. It was my plan to retire back there even when I moved down to Ohio in 1996. As I'm a Canadian citizen, I can sponsor my American husband's application for permanent resident status up north. He doesn't automatically get residency just because we are legally married. While every situation is unique, I do think our story could be of value to people who seem to believe they can just arrive at the border, crossing and claim asylum based on the current U.S. constitutional crisis. The real dangers of LGBTQ people facing in some parts of the U.S. likely won't be enough of a threat, as they are considered generally localized, to substantiate an asylum claim. Moving to another part of the USA from where you are would be considered a better course of action. Nor will being legally married to a Canadian guarantee you quick entry, or even entry at all. You must be sponsored, just as my husband, and qualify. In our situation, I do have a loving, supportive network of family and friends to attest not only to our long-standing relationship, long before the marriage ceremony, and decades in fact, but to my oft-expressed desire to move back, and that there is a loving, receptive, warm community waiting for the two of us. Written letters, yes, signed postal letters, not just emails, along with photographic evidence of our presenting ourselves and being perceived as a real couple for some time, are important. The family helps me with that. I have photographs from all of our trips, many of them with my husband and with the family. The next step is to verify each of our identities and substantiate his good moral character worthy of being permitted to live and thrive in the Great North. That requires pages and pages of detailed history, schooling, jobs, past serious relationships, his biological family, as well as background on me as his sponsor. I will insert a summary of the questionnaires we had to fill out by our specialist. Beyond all that are the official documents required: passport, birth certificate, photographs, medical exam, police report, fingerprints, marriage certificate. I will insert a list of documents required here. Although not mandatory, use of a trained expert, in our case an RCIC or Registered Canadian Immigration Consultant, is worth the extra fees compared to the cost of filing up the application. Oh yes, fees. The Canadian government has some, the RCIC has theirs. But of course, few things in life are truly all-inclusive. We have to have a new photograph of husband that meets the Canadian passport specs, which are not the same as the U.S. passport images. The required original police certificates for country of nationality in all countries where you have lived for more than 6 consecutive months since turning 18 years of age, end of quote, for husband, is the FBI's so-called rap sheet. That costs US $18, but we also need to get him fingerprinted. The post office charges $50, but that's an electronic fingerprinting gets set rather than the old-fashioned card system. Although his current U.S. passport card is valid for entry into Canada when we drive up, he needs to have the more expensive complete U.S. passport book for the application. There are additional fees, another passport photo. I will insert a running total of where we're at now for expenses. We had to travel to Michigan to get husband's required medical exam. There's no one in Ohio at the moment who is certified. The costs this are open. We have to pay the doctor and travel, but we also submitted the blood work and x-ray to his insurance, and we will see whether or not they cover that. This is not primarily a request for financial assistance, although visit supporting me at my blog, briangriffin.ca, if you're so inclined, but to make it clear that the process is not quick, it's not inexpensive, and it's not easy. If you, an American who shows up at the Canadian border and tries to claim asylum because they are fearful for their life down here in the U.S., and may well validly do so, the chances of that succeeding are virtually none. There, as I said at the beginning, you can move, in the eyes of the Canadian government, you can move to a different state, a different area. Also, politically, for a Canadian government to accept an American citizen formerly living in the U.S. as an asylum claim would send shockwaves through an already pretty shattered relationship. So we applied, it was this spring when we got the application and all the paperwork and all the letters of support, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all finalized, submitted through our RCIC. We have, as I said, had to do his exam. He will now be fingerprinted again. First fingerprinting was for the FBI. This is a fingerprinting for the Canadian government. Then there will be interviews and whatever other questions they have, etc. I'm not sure that we have a reliable time frame. I don't know that. That's it. Not saying don't apply. I'm not saying don't move. Just saying be realistic about what's entailed. And then, as I showed in the summary sheet, then that's just the cost of getting him his permanent resident status. Then we have to find a place. We have to either sell off stuff down here and buy new ones up there, or pay to move them, depending upon the weight and the value. That, that's a decision made item by item. Also, because I have lived here in the States for about 30 years, I don't have a really valid credit history in Canada, and my husband, of course, will have none. So things like renting an apartment will require extra deposits. I'm assuming all the utilities will want deposits, the internet, etc. My car has to be at a minimum inspected. It may require additional work done, although I don't believe so. I believe I will the government duties on the value of the car over, I think it's 10,000 Canadian dollars. And there will be a fee for having an air conditioner that's, spoiling the environment, etc. So there's a lot that goes into it. This is simply my experience, and I'm hoping it helps some people just have an honest, hard look at what it takes to move legally just to a neighboring country. Thank you.